Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. Time to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball action on a Thursday, and a chilly Thursday. As I look at the clock right now, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, April 22nd, 2021, and I am out here in the Northeast wearing a hat. I'm out here with gloves. I'm out here with winter coat. Maybe we will get into some hitting weather, but this show's sure to fire up a nice Thursday Major League Baseball card. I'm Donnie Seymour, Jason Radowitz, Purviance, ready to get after it. Yesterday for me, nice little day. I asked you people out there, what were you going to try with your McDonald's wager? Crispy chicken sandwich, 20-piece nugget, French fries, whatever it was all good as the Atlanta Braves got over that 3.5 for me, able to cash in some McDonald's money. Jason, welcome to the show. How did your day go yesterday? Cold across Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, you guys know I'm a big chicken nugget guy, so definitely would get those 20-piece chicken nuggets from McDonald's. But, yeah, we hit the Nationals, minus 0.5 in the first 5. Probably got a little bit lucky there, got one run. Scherzer got out of damage in the first and second, but third, fourth, and fifth, he was terrific and got us that wager after the little under 5.5 in the first 5 from the Rockies game was destroyed in the second inning. But after that, we had 6 runs in 2 innings. The third, the fourth, and the fifth inning, literally no runs in that game. So it ended up being 6 in the first 5 innings. So all we needed to do was just stop one home run from going over the fence in a snowy 30-degree weather, and it just didn't happen. But got the Pirates live yesterday, so got my McDonald's money there. And we're on to a new day. Try to make the money today.
Yeah, I had the 2 plays that I had yesterday. The one was the live play, but I did give out 2 yesterday, which I thought had a decent edge. One was San Diego, and I ended up getting a push first 5 innings over 2. And the theory was exactly the way I thought. They were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position over the first 5 innings. Legitimate chance to go over that too, but end up being a push. And I said on the show, I wanted nothing to do with that bullpen of the Brewers. They completely shut it down the rest of the way. So good move on us to take that first 5 to get a push, as opposed to going the full game 4, which when Hader comes in the game, it's just turn the TV off. You're not scoring any runs in that. Kyle, today, new day, Thursday, winds whipping, cold weather. We'll still find something, though. I know we will.
That's right. You know, they're going to say haters going to hate, right? I guess that's the little thing. I don't know, trying to be cute here. No, yesterday was a great day. Got the Brewers money line. That was plus money. The Royals money line plus money. Angels first 5, even though they lost the game. Jason mentioned Nats first 5. We got the A's team total. They ended up squeaking out the money line at the end. So all sorts of good. I don't think we could have given out more winners if we wanted to yesterday. So hopefully we can keep it going today. We've got a few spots. Nice short card. Can really dive into everything. Cheers, everyone out in the chat box. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
85,100 subscribers here on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for that. Hit your notification bells. Turn them on. Get in the chat box. Say hello when we go live right here to talk Major League Baseball like we're going to do today on a Thursday. Let's take a look here. Some live wagers across the board. Yesterday did well with that. San Francisco Giants team total. Drilled that one. Darren Ruff with a 3-run blast shortly after we left the air. That one cruised into victory. As we take a look now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, a commanding 4-1 lead here in the 6th inning over the Reds. If we look at the money line, obviously it's going to be steep, minus 550, but I always like the in-game live lines, particularly the run lines here. You take a look at the Diamondbacks up 4-1 right now. Live line, minus 2.5, minus 114. If we're looking from a Cincinnati now flipping over to the dog, plus 2.5, minus 110. Live total in this one, sitting at 8.5 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jason, in this game, any thoughts on some of these leads? Do you think the Reds can come back? Bullpens will get involved? What are we looking at here?
So earlier, before the game started, I was on the Diamondbacks plus 115 in the first 5 and plus 0.5 in the first 5 as well. But, yeah, I don't see any value anymore. Kind of hard to read with the Diamondbacks this season so far. The 3-run game, obviously think the Reds can score. Did they score? Yeah, they just scored a run.
They just scored.
So,
blast.
So I think the Reds could obviously come back in this game with their offense. But you have to remember they are shorthanded in that lineup, so it's a little bit harder for them to score some runs like it was earlier in the season.
Blastianos makes it 4-2 now as we see that run line drop to plus 1.5, minus 106. What I do think is a decent look there. The Cincinnati Reds, I don't know if I want to pay because it's going to take 3 runs for them to win this game to overcome Arizona. Plus 210, just not there yet for me price-wise, but that, number now jumps up on the live number, Kyle, to 9.5 in the spot. And before I throw it over to you, let me just dip down here on FanDuel and take a look at the live numbers that we're posting here. How about this? Away runs, 5 for Arizona at -146. Just have to score one more time between the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And then if we take a look at the home team, 4 as a number for the Reds, which is in the bottom of the 6th inning, nobody out 4-2. So they just need 2 more runs to get a push in that one. Any thoughts on this game here early on the card?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that Arizona run line because I think there's some value to be had there. It's not the greatest number in the world, but it's under 150. When you look at the Cincinnati bullpen, just, from the start of this season, they're the 7th worst bullpen in the bigs with their ERA is near 5, 4.97. So if that bullpen's going to continue to underperform and you only need 1 more run, and certainly the bullpen is going to be involved here, I think you can almost count on, even though it's not, team Launchpad out in Arizona, Launchpad, Launch Angle, Darkwing Duck. I've been watching some old Darkwing Duck cartoons lately with my son. That ages me a little bit. But, that bullpen's so bad for Cincinnati. Why couldn't they score another run? And I would rather bank on scoring 1 more run against a bad bullpen than having to go for 2 runs for Cincinnati against an Arizona bullpen that actually hasn't been that bad, a full near 1.5 runs better, 3.63, just below the Dodgers. So I think that Arizona live bet of getting to 5 makes a whole lot of sense to me.
And we're taking a look here at another base hit here. So Votto's on another runner with nobody out. So we're going to see some of these lines start to switch up here as we just had the Cincinnati Reds at a +220 number. Base hit drops it to 190 number. Also had a solo home run, which we're going to update here in just a moment. Pittsburgh and Detroit, they're now tied 2-2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning and a single coming up in that game. So those numbers are locked currently right now. But we'll keep an eye on this Arizona Diamondbacks Cincinnati Reds game. And we were just talking about a 4 being the team total in this game for the home team Reds, still at 4, but that juice is now sitting at -130. And again, they're going to need 5 runs to win this. If you get 4 to extra innings, try to theorize heading into it, you're going to pick up a victory in that spot. Never give up on this live betting stuff because you could get some ridiculous numbers with these algorithms that make sense. And I know a lot of people say, well, sometimes we miss some of the starts. If you're not betting at least 3 to 4 times of your action in game, you are doing this business completely wrong. So let's go ahead and take a look at the second game here. Jason, I'll start with you first. 2-2 now with an update here between the Pirates and the Tigers. If we look at the money line, you can still get a plus money number here on the Pirates at +108. And now I believe, did we just have another 2? Oh, this is the best part about not having anything on when you're looking at it. They love to pop up there with the replay, which looks like a live shot. So we'll keep that intact. And I don't know if I'm watching a home run here now for the Reds, who just tied it up at 4. I don't know if that's a replay. Is it? No, it's not a replay.
No, it's not.
Suarez with the 2-run blast.
Suarez.
So they are going back and forth with ding shots. So if you took that over 4, congratulations. And I don't think Kyle was saying that he really liked the run line on Arizona, so we can edit that out quickly here on tape as that game now is tied. But let's get to the second game here, Kyle. Jason, thoughts on the Pirates and the Tigers here? Slight favorite now for the Tigers, -135.
So, look at the bullpens. The Tigers and the Pirates are both the bottom 5 in FIP, probably 2 of the worst bullpens in the league so far this season. It's already 2-2. Obviously, you already need another run. Right now, I'm seeing over 7.5 at +100. I think the over probably hits in this game. The Tigers had not been good really at all offensively. They strike out a ton, but I do think that there's potential there. Get a couple runs, across the board against the Pirates bullpen. Keller obviously already has 80 pitches through 4 2/3, so might get 1 more inning if he's even able to get out of this inning. But you'll likely see bullpens the remainder of the game from both sides. So I think this game could go over the 7.5. You could probably get a 7 at places. I probably like that more. And if Keller's able to get out of it, you might be able to get that 6.5 eventually if you wait a little bit.
Taking a look at some of these team totals currently live in action here, Kyle. 3.5 on both sides here between Pittsburgh and Detroit. Both of these teams have 2 runs apiece as we now head to the top of the 6th inning. So 4 full at-bats for each side. Something to certainly keep an eye on because I'm one of those value players where I look at the 3.5, says, all right, you need 2 runs to get over the top on either one of these wagers, which theoretically could happen because if you just get 1 from each side, you're headed to extra innings and you're going to cash some of those tickets in, if not both of those tickets, if you bet it both ways. But maybe a strategy to wait to see if one of these pops a 3 number and then 1 run at least. If it doesn't get the extra innings, get you a push. How are you looking in this game? Because we're looking at a slight favorite now to the Tigers, -122, total 7.5. 1.5. But if you're looking for run line value, not really there yet. But if you take the Tigers plus 1.5, minus 320, I don't know who's spending on that. Goodness.
No. And the value here would be on the Pittsburgh side. We talk about bad bullpens. Detroit is the worst bullpen in the majors, and it's not even close. They're a full run worse than the second worst team, Texas. That just tells you how bad Detroit's bullpen has been. So for me, it's getting that team total on Pittsburgh. I think they can get a couple runs. And if Detroit's favored right now and you're getting plus money on Pittsburgh, I think the value, for me anyways, against the worst bullpen by a large margin in the big leagues against Detroit, give me Pittsburgh.
Large Marge in charge. We'll see what how it plays out here, but 4-4 and 2-2, so 2 games tied up. So if you like to take your shots here on some of the dogs, you're looking at plus 126 for Arizona, and then we're flipping over to the Pirates, who minus 102, so not sitting at plus juice, but the bullpen now into play probably in both of these ball games. Let's get to some of the games that are going to start a little bit later today, 9:09, 9:10, 6:10 start New York Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. One thing's for sure tonight, I will be betting the Yankees team total live because there's no doubt in my mind they won't have a run on the board by the 6th inning, and we'll be able to get like a 1. And we'll just say, hey, one swing of the bat gets us a push and a free roll. It took late yesterday as I was holding. You saw the 3s. You saw the 2.5s. You saw the 2s. You saw the 1.5s. I waited to 1, and it took a sawed-off shotgun from Clint Frazier to just barely get over the first baseman Freddie Freeman's head to score a run last night to get a push in that 1. Oh, it's a lot of fun betting the Yankees will do it again tonight. If we look across the board, how about some 8s and 7.5s as a total? How about a number that opened up at minus 109 to Cleveland, staying in that same general direction? We are now looking where we used to joke about the Yankee tax. The Yankee tax is basically, are the Yankees even going to be a dog at this point because of how brutal they are at the plate? Jason, I'll start with you first. Domingo Germán versus Allen, the lefty on the mound.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. I agree. The Indians should be able to score first. These are two offenses that are both really struggling. It's going to be, a tough game to score runs, maybe get the under. I do agree with the first 5 for the Indians. And like Donnie says, he knows the Yankees aren't going to be able to score a run through the first 5 innings. So the Indians obviously have some value there. At around, I think they're probably around minus 110 in the first 5. So that would be where I'd lean towards. Just kind of waiting for the Yankees to wake up a little bit. It's going to happen eventually. Hasn't happened yet, though.
By the way, I'm looking at the numbers here, and it's just amazing how, it is still cold weather out there across baseball. It's still early in the season, but every single time in the past couple of years, you look for a Yankees team total. It was never below 4, like 4.5. Oh, the Yankees are under 5. We're in on tonight. Look at this number here. 3.5 is a team total for the Yankees. And my Braveheart expression that I love to use for the Yankees, hold. We're going to get a 1.5 in this game somewhere. So do not bet the Yankees pregame. Wait for them in game. Get that better number, Kyle. As we look at this tonight, it's interesting because are we looking at bats? Cleveland has the better bats? What?
I know. It's absolutely ridiculous, and this makes me sick to my stomach. Like, the 2 games that I like the best today are 2 of the teams I trust the least. And it's sort of funny, right, as the year goes on. Pretty much every team by, I don't know, the next month and a half will be on our no-can trustee list, right? So we'll be scared to bet every single team in baseball. It's only a matter of time before that actually happens. And, somewhere, if I could speak, around July or August, you basically hate every team in the bigs because they've all cost you a bet some way or another. But, and I'm going to probably butcher his name, Aaron Savale, has been very, very good this year. Did I mess it up? How bad was it, Jason?
I think it's Savali, but
Savali. Okay, pretty damn close.
Squiggly mark in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what are you gonna do? But when I'm looking, first thing I do when I'm capping baseball, when I'm looking at the numbers, when I wake up in the morning, I'm looking for plus numbers, and I'm looking for plus numbers that make sense. You guys touched on it. I think the Yankees struggle to score runs early. I do actually like some of Cleveland's bats tonight here against German here. Jordan Luplow, namely at the top of the order, 75% advantage. Rosario, 12. The other Rosario, 4. 41 for Reyes, 13 for Hernandez. So there's some advantages here. I could see them winning the first 5 innings, so I get minus 0.5 at plus 125 in the first 5 for Cleveland. I'm jumping all over that. All we really need them to do is get 1 runner across, and I do think the Yankees are held scoreless in that first 5 innings. So Indians minus 0.5 first 5 at plus 125 makes a ton of sense for me. One thing I would caution if we're live betting the Yankees, and of course once it gets down to 1 run, you got to take a swing. Cleveland's bullpen's actually been very good too, as well. Only a 3.0 ERA. Their bullpen's been good, so there won't be as much upside especially if the game's close and they're throwing their good arms out there trying to win this game. So it'd be something I would watch if I'm live betting it. But right now, I'll take that plus number. Cleveland minus 0.5, first 5.
By the way, Jason, looking at walks there, I mean, the Yankees have done very well versus right-handed pitching getting walks, but this team is not paid to walk. They're paid to drive the baseball, and they just can't do that. So when I actually look at the rosters between the two, just numbers-wise on this game, Cleveland actually has a better roster at the plate, which is crazy.
Yeah, and they're going up against Domingo Germán. Obviously, the first 2 games that he's started or played this year have been really poor, and Savali's been terrific, and walking just 2 batters per 9 innings through 94.2 innings pitched. And that's enough to tell me that Savali's not going to be walking too many batters. Obviously, in April, it's cold and weird things might happen. But for the most part, Savali's been really good, limiting walks. And, that tells me enough.
Yeah, 45 degrees at first pitch there for the Yankees game. Wind blowing crossed, so, from left foul pole to right foul pole. But 10-mile-an-hour winds, it shouldn't be that bad. There's no precipitation. The game's going to get in, but still cold hitting conditions. And we are waiting for those Yankees at-bats to wake up. I thought we had it the other night when they had a stellar 3 runs, like, ooh, finally breaking loose, but right back down to the pen yesterday. We joked about, the Colorado Rockies. At least they're actually showing some signs of life at the plate, where the Yankees certainly are not doing that. Let's keep moving down into a game that has a lot of our interest today. 9-11, 9-12, 7 o'clock, starting here in Boston. Dunn versus Pivetta on the mound. This opened up as a 163 favorite offshore. Pinnacle drops down to a 158. We got 9.5s across the board as a total, and I agree with it. Jason, I'm going to start with you first in this game, because when we're looking, wind is blowing out at Boston, which is always key, and it's howling. It's 19 to 20 miles an hour, which is great. But when you combined it with the starting temperature of the game and the wind chill, by the time this game ends, it's going to be below freezing, which always factors in. But if we're trying to match up the pitchers and the batters in this game, it's a shame it's not 75 degrees, because that ball would be absolutely flying out of Fenway. How are we looking at this game tonight, Jason?
Well, here's the good news. Both pitchers are walking 5 batters or more per 9 innings. You have Pivetta 5.04, Dunn 6.67. So even if they can't hit the ball, they're going to get runners on base. And both these pitchers will probably end up losing control and their command at some point during this game. Both pitchers also have FIPs, above 5. Both have been pretty bad. I mean, Pivetta a little bit from Philadelphia. I know Dunn a little bit from New York. Both these guys really, they don't. They have no control, no command whatsoever. And obviously the bats line up really well. Pivetta is really struggling versus righties this season. 426 weighted OBA and 267 ISO versus righties in 35 plate appearances. So you got Haniger and France, 2 huge righties at the top of the lineup who have really done really well this season. And also, some lefties who have faced righties well this season. You have Marmo Lojos and Trammell. They both hit righties really well hard from the left side. So right there you see that and you're like, all right, well, the Mariners, should do well offensively, and they have done well offensively to start the season, even when we expected them not to. Then the Red Sox, of course, they're going to have to face Dunn, and Dunn really hasn't blown up yet. The walks have been high, but he hasn't blown up yet. I think this is the one game where he finally ends up blowing up. 7 batters for the Red Sox have a weighted OBA of 325 or higher against righties, and then 6 guys in that lineup have a high walk rate versus righties as well. So now you're getting a ton of walks, and that weighted OBA is pretty high against righties for the Red Sox. So yeah, I think both teams get on base. I think both teams score some runs, and hopefully it happens before it gets too cold out. So I'm on the over 9 at minus 127. Got that via DraftKings. I see it places 130, 135. So I took that over 9 instead of that 9.5. Get that push at 9, but if it gets to 10, of course we get that win. And I think both teams are capable of scoring 5 runs in this game.
And I do. And it's one of those things where, like, even yesterday, still won some bets. But when I talk about McDonald's money, that's really limiting my action. Where, look, I think I have an edge on the game, but not one of those where I'm willing to make it my play of the day where you can really make some money. This game, push this forward in May. If these 72 degrees at first pitch, I'm going all in on this, because 4.5 is a team total for Boston at minus 150 is very expensive. But looking at FanDuel, 5 at minus 108. Cold temperatures, I don't know how they're going to react. Should the ball still fly out with 19-mile-an-hour winds in Boston? It really should, but nobody likes to swing at 32 degrees with a 19-mile-an-hour wind blow. It's just, it's kind of tough to try to get over. So that's the difference on why I don't have a play of the day where I'm going all in on it, as opposed to, you know what, let's take a little bit of this spot, because this is a McDonald's money game for me, and I will take the team total for Boston over 5 at the cheap number of -108. But it's not enough for me to be like, hey, guys, I'm real confident in this, because when I leave weather out, weather is a monster part of hitting. If this is 80 degrees, that ball is, they're going to be launching and hitting the Sitco sign out in left field like 6 blocks away. But tonight, maybe let's take a little bit of a deep breath, but I still think there's some value here. Looking at the lineups here, weighted on base average, stacked here for Boston. Here's the interesting part, Kyle. The xFIP for Dunn is 8.76, which is astoundingly bad. Doesn't strike guys out, walks an incredible amount to start the season. But again, it's limited. 22 batters that he's faced, he's actually walked 36% of those. The weighted on base average for both lefties and righties, 288, 318. Something's going to give tonight. But if you're walking guys, eventually you're going to get cashed in on.
Yeah, and it's too bad that it's cold, because you guys touched on it perfectly. I love both lineups and the advantages they have. So really what I did in this game, even though I leaned Boston to win this game, their offense has been spectacular to start the year. It's really been fun to watch, quite frankly. Seattle also has some nice advantages here. So I can go, you touched on the numbers at 4.5. I can get a Boston team total here of over 5.5 at +110 if you want to get real risky, but it's a little cold. But then I look at the Mariners. I can get the Mariners over 3.5 at -140. I think that's the safer play today. I love both of these lineups in DFS. Obviously want nothing to do with the pitchers, but let's just go over Seattle real quick here. I've got 5 hitters in my lineup. We've got advantages of 20, 17, 59, 44, 41, and 33% today against Pivetta in terms of 3-year weighted OPS versus these pitchers. And then when you go to Boston, Jason touched on it perfectly, because I've got 7 guys in that lineup as well. And we've got advantages here of 33, 10, 21, 11, 23, and 37. So both lineups have nice upside today. I'm just going to take the safer side, take the smaller number, and take the over 3.5 for the Mariners at -140 for the game. Yeah, I'd lean Boston, but not really big on picking sides for a full game in baseball much these days.
Yeah, about a 158. Depending on where you're shopping, FanDuel's actually listing Boston here at 174, so a heavier favorite there in the New Jersey outlets, but 9.5 across the board here on the totals. We'll see if they can get some runs. You still should, but again, 32 degrees baseball just doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. Let's keep going. In a game that was really cold last night, as I was watching it on TV, it didn't matter. The Cubs were absolutely teeing off on the Mets, but it looked like a football game in December where everybody, you could see their breath coming out of their mouth. It was freezing cold conditions, but didn't hamper it down runs-wise, as they scored 20 total with a lot of help, as we like to say, from the Chicago Cubs. Lucchesi, the lefty, is going to be on the mound versus Williams. I got to say also in this game, I'm digging the Mets here. I'm digging the Mets. Still not great weather conditions, but I think they match up well versus Williams. They're going to put a good lineup out here, Jason, tonight, and not enough, again, for the next week. We're not going to have any issues. I'm already looking at the advanced forecasts. Should be the last week we're dealing with 30s, 40s, and low 50s and windy conditions and trash weather. We should be able to clear up and really be able to make some money next week. But looking at this game between these two teams, I like the Mets team total 4.5 -110, and I'm going to put some McDonald's money on that bad boy. What are we looking at, Jason?
A tough game for sure. Maybe the Cubs don't have any more offense after last night's explosion. That was pretty ugly and not really fun to watch. But the Knicks have to win. They got 8 straight, so at least one New York team is doing well right now. But the Mets, tough, man. They had a lefty on the mound. Obviously, Cubs have been really good against lefties so far this season, and so I would probably go Cubs here. But you got to be weary because they just scored 16 runs. I don't know what the stats are. I don't know what the trends are, but I do know that when a team scores 16 runs in one game, the next game they start to maybe struggle at the plate and don't score nearly as many as they did before. Unless you're the Athletics, I guess you just score whenever you want now. But I guess I would go Cubs over 3.5 team total at -155. I'd be scared to take a 4.5 for the Cubs, but I do think the Cubs have more upside at +100 in the first 5. It's tough. I get it either direction you go, the Mets or the Cubs. This one's a tough one. The Mets are due, but we can't bet off of due. So I think the Cubs would be the favorite here. But I'm not taking this game.
55 degrees, so obviously feels like a beach vacation compared to what it was yesterday between the Cubs and the Mets. And certainly the Mets probably waking up going, whoa, 55 degrees, I get to play in? Seems like they've been playing in the 30s for the past week straight. Wind is blowing out here at Wrigley about 12 miles an hour. We do have Lucchese, who is, in the past a good strikeout pitcher. There's some big strikeout guys in this lineup for the Cubs. Their weighted on base averages are sensational. They're working walks, but Ian Happ, 41% to lefties this year. Contreras, 25% K rate to lefties. Chris Bryant, 31%. Javi Baez seems like he either hits a home run or strikes out. He's 41%. And Jake Marisnick in the 8-hole, 55% of the time he gets up to the plate versus lefties, he strikes out. So when we're looking at the Cubs, should they stay hot? They probably should, but Lucchese's a decent pitcher. The Mets, even though their numbers aren't making all that much sense, but again, keep in mind, the Mets have been playing in 30-degree weather for a week. Maybe 55 is balmy, winds blowing out. Maybe they get going today because the expected lineup here, Kyle, Nimmo lefty, Lindor lefty, Smith lefty, Conforto lefty, McNeil lefty. A lot of lefties in the lineup today. We'll see if they can hit. What are you thinking?
Yeah, first of all, I need you guys to do me a favor in the chat box. There's 200 watching. Hit the like button for me, please. I need the encouragement because I can't believe I'm going to say what I'm about to say, and it does upset me. And Vitalis is right. We don't bet on the Cubs. We're not supposed to bet on the Cubs. And the disgusting thing about today is the Cubs stand out more than any other team in terms of advantages against the opposing pitcher. So let's go over it here right now, and it is very upsetting. Okay, so the projected lineup for the Cubs, they have 22 at-bats. Those 22 at-bats, the Cubs today are 14 of 22 off Joey Lucchesi. Very small sample size, by the way. So you can't just take that to the bank. It's a very small sample size. But nonetheless, for their career, they were hitting 636 off Joey Lucchesi. There's one. The weighted 3-year OPS, 989. Very, very high. His last start against the Cubs, scored 4 points, got ousted in the second inning. Looked absolutely terrible. Then we go to the Cubs lineup here, and it's just advantage after advantage. Rizzo, 2 of 3 lifetime. Baez, you're right, strikes out or homers, 5 of 6 lifetime, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, got a home run prop on him. Chris Bryant, 1 of 2. We've got advantages here of 19, 16, 31, 14, 20, and 24%. I hate the Cubs. They disgust me. And just to double on what Donnie said, the Mets also terrific advantages today, 20, 24, 31, 1, and 14. So both 54 for J.D. Davis as well, who's also homered off of Williams. It makes me sick. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'm leaning Cubs, and I'm actually seeing some value over 4.5 at plus 105. The numbers tell me team total for the Cubs. Am I taking it? Am I going to put money on it? No, because I never will put money on the Cubs. But if I'm being honest, the numbers dictate Cubs should hit their team total today. I'll lean the Cubs.
Yeah, Mets line crashing down. Pinnacle opened up at 126. That's now down to 110. And then if we take a look at some of the New Jersey outlets here, opened up at 118 at FanDuel. That's roughly down to a pick-em here, but still 9.5s across the board. We'll see if the Mets wake up, but 55 degrees certainly feels a lot better than what the Mets have been playing in over the last week. Let's keep moving. 9:13, 9:14. Angels and Astros. Cobb and Javier on the mound. Opened up at Pinnacle offshore, minus 120. That now sits at minus 123. The over-under is dipping, though. Pinnacle opened up at 9, now sits at 8.5. FanDuel opened up at 9. That also sits at 8.5. Looking at the weather conditions in Houston, why is that always a big deal? Well, they don't really like to open the roof all that much, and any excuse for them to keep the roof closed, they do it. But it's overcast in Houston tonight. 68 degrees, no rain in the forecast. They should have this roof open tonight, and that will certainly help out, letting a little bit more of that heat and humidity in there as opposed to turning the air conditioning on and that ball not traveling. So we look at that over-under. It is dropping down to 8.5. Jason, we'll start with you first in this game. What are some initial thoughts here on the Angels and the Astros from you?
Yeah, the line movement doesn't make much sense to me. I'm on the over 8.5 in this game. Right now, the Angels are hitting 5 balls in line drives against righties this season. That bodes well against a high fly ball pitcher going up against Javier, who's only getting 28.9% of ground balls. So you expect the Angels to get the ball in the air. You have Trout, Ohtani, Walsh. You have some guys, and really they don't strike out too often, and they're getting the ball in play in the air. That bodes well for them. On the other hand, you have Cobb. He's allowed 3 runs per game this season, and his strikeouts are really high. But now you look at the Astros, and they're not really striking out too often. They're not walking either, but they're putting the ball in play. And again, the weather is nice, and there's lots of high ISO guys in this lineup like Brantley, Alvarez, Correa, Tucker. You also have Gurriel, Bregman's back in the lineup, Maldonado's back in the lineup, so their numbers will get better as the season progresses. I like the over in this spot, over 8.5. If you look at the history between these two teams outside of yesterday, there's been a lot of offense between these two teams, and that's just how it's been for a while now. And I like this over. I think we can see a lot of extra base hits, a lot of home runs, a lot of fly balls, and hard contact. Both pitchers, Cobb and Javier, or Cobb allows a lot of heavy hard contact, and Javier allows a lot of heavy hard contact from the left side as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of heavy hard contact. I like a lot of extra bases. I like a lot of balls in play. So I'm on the over 8.5 in this matchup, and I don't agree with the 9 moving to 8.5, but I'll certainly take it.
Yep. Yeah, Cobb, the best pitcher today for me on the mound. 4.63 ERA doesn't tell the whole truth. Look at his FIP, 2.06, and his xFIP, a 1.68. Sensational stuff, striking out about 35% of the batters he's facing. The one thing the one thing that Houston doesn't do well, they don't like to take walks. One of the worst teams in the league at letting that free pass go. Straw, 5.1%. Brantley, 3%. Bregman, 4%. Alvarez hasn't even walked yet against a right-handed batter. Correa, 5%. Tucker, 2%. And then Diaz, who's had 27 at-bats versus righties, he hasn't taken a walk yet. So they're going to be up there swinging and hacking. So hopefully that roof is open to open up some of that offense, Kyle. What are you looking at here between the Angels and the Houston Astros?
Yeah, and talk about a hitter that's due, right? Kyle Tucker has been absolutely dreadful over the last 3 games. Hasn't even scored a single fantasy baseball point. Not a single point, not a walk, not a hit, nothing. Done absolutely nothing in 3 straight games. He gets a nice advantage today, of course, righty versus lefty matchup there. But you're right, all the numbers point to the Angels, and I like the Angels quite a bit here. Look, I agree with Donnie. I think Cobb's one of the better pitchers on the slate. Javier hasn't been terrible, and he did just put up 29 against the Angels. Let's not forget in Cobb's last start against Houston, negative 15 points. That's what Cobb did in his last start against this team. But you look at the advantages for the Angels, and look, the Angels right now in terms of batting average are the second best hitting team in baseball. They have the second bet behind Boston. There's, as a team, they're batting .266. So we know the 3 guys I want from the Angels in DFS. I want Ohtani. I want Trout, who's batting something like .395 or something crazy. Him and Nimmo and Acuna are just way the hell up there. And Jared Walsh, who has a 27% advantage as well. So those 3 guys can carry this offense. I think if you're looking for some value here, you can take the first 5 on the Angels. The first 5 money line on the Angels is plus 115. So, there's a big difference between taking the 0.5 and the money line. People ask why. Well, if you take the minus 0.5 and the game is tied, you lost your bet. If you take the money line after first 5 and the game is tied, it's a push. You're getting the Angels plus 115 first 5. Cobb versus Javier. Love the advantages for the bats. So the bet for me, one of the better bets today actually on the card for me is Angels first 5 at plus 115.
Taking a look at it, it is very early in the season, but Cobb and Javier are the 2 best xFIP guys on the card today. We'll see if it plays out that way tonight. But when you're taking a look at the same old story we talk about with the Angels, Ohtani, 445 weighted on base average. Trout, 561. Walsh, 454. The rest of the team, horrendous. So you better be racking it up 2 through 5 in this order, because outside of that, nobody's going to do a damn thing. So we'll see how it provides out tonight in Houston. Keep that roof open. If that roof is open, that's going to help these batters at the plate here. So something to keep an eye on as we get closer. I'm looking at it where it says the retractable roof is expected to be open tonight, but that could always change throughout the afternoon. Let's get out to the West Coast, 9:45, 9:05, 9:06, Miami and San Francisco. Castano, the lefty, versus Sanchez, the righty, opened up at minus 140. Offshore, that now sits at 144. FanDuel at 152 as a favorite towards the San Francisco Giants. Over-under across the board, we are sitting at 8 in this one. And if we drop down and try to take a look at some of the matchups here on this early, season, the San Francisco Giants versus lefties, usually tattoo them, have come down a little bit. But the one thing they don't do, Jason, is strike out versus lefties. That ball will be in play tonight. It's just a matter of scoring. Quick weather update here, about 50 to 55 degrees, typical for San Francisco. So not a particularly cold night out there in the Bay.
I agree. The Giants should be able to hit the ball. I think they've looked better recently. Still not the offense that we kind of expected, especially against lefties. But, I think the Giants should be able to score a run early. Castano, he's really hard to figure out because he's getting no strikeouts in any of his starts. So he's averaging 3.12 strikeouts per 9 innings and also walking 3.38. So he's walking more than strikeout. And so that's pretty hard to understand. He's also getting ground balls of, nearly 50%. And his batting average of balls in play is just 256. So he's not been bad. He just has he been getting a little bit lucky? That's the question. And we'll figure out the answer as the season progresses. But yeah, I think Aaron Sanchez is definitely the better pitcher. Both have already pitched against these teams previously. I think Sanchez should be able to bounce back, get a lot of strikeouts. Miami, they're striking out a ton, especially against righties at the bottom of the order. Go to Duvall, Anderson, Chisenholm, Brinson, Leon if he gets to start at catcher. So I think Sanchez will probably end up pitching better. Duvall hit him hard last time he faced them, so that will be the one guy I think that could score and maybe ruin the Giants minus 0.5 in the first 5. But other than that, the Giants have a lot more advantages, and I'm sure Kyle will touch on that.
I agree with it. I do agree with that because looking at Castano, he's only had 5 innings pitched this year. ERA of 1.80. Hey, it looks good, but his xFIP is a disaster at close to 6. So it's a matter of him hiding right now, that smoke and mirrors type pitching. And the one thing that we do agree on, when you look at the Marlins here going up against right-handed pitchers, let's go down their ISO numbers. Dickerson, 0.043. Rojas, 0.098. Aguiar, 0.049. Duvall, how about this? 47 at-bats, a 205 ISO. Nice-looking stats there. But then you get back to Anderson, 0.044. Chisholm, who's been sensational this year, specifically versus righties, 0.448 with an ISO. Then it dips back to our favorite friends here, as Blutarski would get called, 0.0 for Brinson, and Sandy Leon, 0.0. Kyle, what are we looking at tonight in the Bay Area out west with the Giants?
This game is tough, and this game is ugly. The factors I looked at here, someone even mentioned in the chat box, they flew in from Miami to San Francisco. That is a long flight. I don't think either one of these lineups are world beaters, certainly, and Jason's 100% right. Outside of Corey Dickerson from Miami at the top of that order, who's got a 36% advantage and has actually hit Sanchez pretty well in his career, 5 of 13 lifetime with a home run. There's not much to love there. It's negative 60, negative 60, negative 84 for Lewis Brinson. How about that? Of course it is. Chad Wallach, negative 102. Duvall, negative 72. Rojas, negative 102. Anytime anything's more than 100%, it always freaks me out unless I'm making money. So I got to lean the Giants here. You're not getting the greatest of numbers. First 5, if you take the money line, minus 160. If you take them by 0.5, you get minus 110. That might be the way to go there if I'm going to bet this. The advantage is slightly to the Giants. I have a little bit of Sanchez and DFS. Other than that, not a lot of bats that I love really for either team. The Giants, of course, with Yastrzemski, even Belt's not terrible against lefties, much better against righties. Dickerson's actually a little bit better against lefties. So there's some advantages for the Giants, so I'll lean there, but a tough game for me.
By the way, Kyle's run line, so we can re-edit the tape back as Arizona's up 7-4 versus Cincinnati right now. So his run line does look good now. See how it changes? See how the momentum can change throughout the show over the 15 to 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. But Miami, San Francisco, we'll see how it plays out. 8s across the board, low number, 4-4, you get the extra innings. Even if you get the extra innings at 2-2, you probably got a legitimate shot. Let's go to the game of the night, 9:07, 9:08, San Diego and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Weathers, the lefty, will be on the mound. This series shifts from where we saw last week down in San Diego back up here to Los Angeles. Walker Buehler on the mound, opened up as a minus 175 favorite here offshore at Pinnacle. That now sits 167. Opened up in New Jersey, a minus 194 favorite to the Dodgers. That now sits at 174. 7.5 across the board, Jason. And as I'm looking at the matchups here, Walker Buehler is a very good pitcher. xFIP here around that 4.4 range, which is a little bit high. But the one thing we do love, how many times the San Diego Padres will work that count and try to get on base as one of the best walking teams in Major League Baseball. A lot of weighted on base averages look positive, as well as the strikeout percentages versus righties. Are we looking for a dog shot in this game, or is it like, you know what? I ain't never betting against the Dodgers. What are you looking at here?
I've been betting for the Dodgers recently, and it's stung because their offense has not produced, just like the Padres. Yep. I look at this game more of a, obviously the Dodgers are home, but it's the Padres are right now, I'm seeing at Bet365 plus 160, and that's just too much for the Padres against the Dodgers in any game this season. And Weathers pitched pretty well against the Dodgers in his first start. Maybe he gets to go 5 innings just this game if he's able to limit the walks and pitch count stays a little bit lower. Buehler against the Padres last time, he allowed 7 hits, 2 runs, in 6 innings pitched. The game before that versus Washington, he also allowed 6 hits, allowed no runs. But, there's a chance that the Padres could be able to score some runs in this game. Buehler, only 4 strikeouts in every single game so far. Colorado, Washington, San Diego, just 4 strikeouts. We're talking about like Colorado and Washington, some really bad offenses where he couldn't get many strikeouts. Like, look at what DeGrom was able to do. Look at what some of the other big pitchers were able to do versus Colorado and Washington. Buehler can't get strikeouts, and like Donnie just said, the Padres don't strike out and they work walks. They get on base, and they had 7 hits versus Buehler in that first game that they faced him. I like the Padres plus 160 as an underdog play. I think they're a real threat here against the Dodgers. Weather's obviously not going to get the same amount of love as Buehler. It makes sense, but he hasn't looked bad at all. He actually played well against the Dodgers in that first start that he had against them. So, yeah, give me the Padres plus 160. Let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, top 5 in xFIP on the card. His ERA through 9 2/3 innings this year is actually pretty good at 0.93. Creeps up a little bit with his xFIP of 369, but certainly in the same ballpark and actually a little bit better than Walker Buehler. If we're taking a look at Walker Buehler's statistics this year, 2 ERA and a 4.03 xFIP. So we'll see how it plays out, Kyle. Looking at this game between the Dodgers and the San Diego Padres, should be a good one. Low total at 7.5. These two teams are going to get after a pitcher's ballpark out there in Los Angeles. We looking at hits in this game? We looking at dogs, favorites? What do you got?
I think this is a classic game of something we preach about, having good habits. So, look, the Dodgers do have a few more advantages against this lineup than the Padres do against Buehler. There's no doubt about that. But we sort of talked about this yesterday with the Brewers. When you look on a card and you see a really good team with high pedigree and you see that plus number by it, it's worth a look. And again, it's the Dodgers versus a lefty, right? So, and I actually noticed my bookie has him listed wrong. They have him listed as a righty, but Weathers bats right, throws left. He's one of those type of guys. So when I see the plus number by the Padres and I see the Dodgers, who, look, they just struggled against a lefty the other day. They are not great against lefties. If Betts plays, he struggles mightily against lefties. That's why you see him rest a lot for whatever injury thing it is when there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound. So for me, even though there's slight advantages to the Dodgers here, when I look at the Padres and I see the pedigree of that team and I see that number, that's just a good habit where you take the best team you can at a plus number. And look, they're not dead in the water. Machado, Tatis, and Myers are all very, very good against right-handed pitching, either slight advantages or very, very close. Trent Grisham at the top of the lineup, he has an advantage here against the righty. Cronenworth, the lefty, Hosmer, the lefty. So there is some potential here with the Padres. So for me, I'm going to take the underdog spot. I'll take the plus money here. If it makes you a little bit nervous, I get it, because the Dodgers do have a few more advantages, just barely, but it's tough to ignore that big number when you look at it. I'll take the Padres.
Yeah, looking at this also, Jovan Rosales brings up a good point. Chilly in Los Angeles. This game of the first pitch will be in the 50s. By the time the game is over, mid-50s. So it is a little bit chillier temperatures. And as I said, again, looking at some of the forecasts next week, we shouldn't have these issues anymore, and we should be able to let it rip. And not first thing we look at is the weather, as opposed to who the heck is pitching and who the heck is batting in these games. So some interesting things to look at. Best bets on the MLB board. Let's shift it down. Nice, quick, compact show here, about 45 minutes. I don't have it. I'm 9-4 on the season on my best bets. And there's a reason why I'm 9-4, because I'm just not going willy-nilly on, multiple games and, I don't like these conditions. When it's time to lay the wood, we will lay it. Even though I've been doing good on some of these McDonald's wagers. Got 2 more McDonald's wagers I'm going with tonight. Boston, again, if it was 70 degrees, we'd be all in. But since it's not, we're going McDonald's money. Team total over 5, minus 108 at FanDuel. And I'm also going to go with the New York Mets, some more McDonald's money here. Hey, might be able to get a 20-piece and also a Big Mac tonight. Mets 4.5, team total minus 110. That's at BetMGM. That's where I'm going tonight. A little bit of action. We can't leave the show. I'm like, hey, we don't have any wagers. I'm going on those games. I'm betting those games. Not for a lot of money, but when we do reappear tomorrow and next week, let's get ready for those best bets again. Jason, best bets and bankers from you tonight. What are we digging on?
It's going to be a late night for me, but I'm up for it.
There you go.
We're on over 9 for the Mariners-Red Sox game. So, like Donnie, he's on the Red Sox. I know Kyle said he's on the Mariners. So if they can both just score their runs and get their team totals for both of them, we will be on our way to getting that over 9 as one of the official plays in the Mariners and Red Sox game. Also on the over 8.5 for the Angels-Astros game. Both these teams love slugging against each other. Should be a lot of hard hit balls And the weather could be good there too, so we'll have to see what happens there. But I do like the over 8.5 in that game, and think we could see a lot of extra bases and home runs in that one. And then lastly, we're going with our first underdog of the season, the Padres plus 157. We're going to get on that. I really like the Padres in this spot and think that there's a lot of value there. So, these underdogs probably won't hit all the time, obviously, but if you take them enough and you'll probably go, maybe 40-45% win percentage, and the ROI will be high enough. So we're going to start taking some underdogs, and I like the spot for the Padres here.
There you go. Dogs from Jason. Kyle, what are we looking at best bets and bankers from your perspective?
So let me translate for everybody. So Donnie is official if it doesn't win at RightSide VP, the Red Sox, and Jason, hardcore on the Padres doesn't win. No. So I'm looking here. I'm going to take another plus money spot too. I'm going to take the Angels money line in the first 5 at plus 115. I like that quite a bit today. And I'll do a little sprinkle. I want Wendy's money though. I want the Baconator. I don't want the chicken nuggets. I want that $5.49 Baconator with the 2 patties. I want the double Baconator, whatever the hell it is. I'll take that Mariners team total over 3.5 at minus 140 for some Wendy's money as well.
It's funny because like when you see me on Twitter, most people that probably watch the show follow me. When the best bet hits, like we get the atom bomb going off right in the crosshairs. Oh, yeah. But when we get the McDonald's money hitting, you see like 2 eyeballs pop up. Like, ooh, did that? Look at this team. They split it. It's a big difference here because that's how my bankroll plays it as well. The same way. Like, hey, it's nice we just got that Braves one, but it's really nice when the atom bomb hits. We go out and party for the night. But I love doing Major League Baseball shows. Thursday, quick show. We'll be back at it tomorrow. A huge card on Friday to cover. Then we kick off the weekend. And next week, maybe, guys, we'll get 65 to 70 degrees across Major League Baseball and really be able to tee off. So let's clear the bases and get at it here today. A lot of interesting stuff as we're watching right now. Arizona 8-4 over Cincinnati. Still tied 2-2 between Pittsburgh and Detroit. Some good stuff to watch a little bit later on tonight in Major League Baseball. So once again, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us. If you need more Major League Baseball information, there is a link below, sbrpicks.com/MLB. Click that link, get all the write-ups, get all the latest videos, and also if you want to watch this, if you're watching it right now live, thank you for doing that. Hit the thumbs up. If you are watching this on a replay that I'm talking to you, you can still hit the thumbs up and leave comments in the chat box. But thanks for joining us today on Thursday for the SportsBookReview.com Major League Baseball Show. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz along with Kyle Purviance. Good luck on those wagers tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow on Friday.